inclusion, creating opportunities for small businesses, entrepreneurs, and underserved communities to thrive. We will advance climate resilience and sustainable development, recognizing that our economic future depends on our ability to adapt and respond. We will promote greater regional integration, leveraging our collective strengths to achieve shared progress. And we will reinforce accountability and results, ensuring that this plan delivers real and measurable impact. In fact, this year, our theme is Relentless Focus, Amplified Impact. The most important message of this plan, however, lies in its second promise: collective action for shared prosperity. This reminds us that no institution, no matter how strong, can achieve these goals alone. Progress requires partnerships. It will also require alignment, and it will require all of us, governments, financial institutions, private sector leaders, development partners, and citizens working together with purpose and determination. The ECCB stands ready to lead. However, we also stand ready to listen, to collaborate, and to support. On this journey, we are clear-eyed about what success means. It is not measured by the number of pages in the document. It will be measured by the lives we improve, the businesses we enable, the resilience we build and strengthen, and the opportunities we create for future generations. This evening, I invite all of us to embrace the big push, to commit to its vision and the work required to achieve it. We can do this. We must do this. And when we act together with clarity and conviction, there is no limit to what this region can accomplish. You know, we often think that we are poor and we don't have much, but we need to get rid of this mindset. We have all that we need to transform our region. It is right here. We possess it, and we need to propel our region forward towards shared prosperity. So let me, as I close, leave us to ponder on this. When we align our vision, unite our efforts, and act with purpose, we create not just growth, we create transformation for shared prosperity for all, thereby advancing the good of the people of our region, where, in the words of our own Governor, Timothy N. Antoine, they not just strive. What do? They thrive. Thank you. God bless, and blessings upon you.
Deputy Governor, thank you for your remarks and for underscoring that the economic future of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union depends on our ability to adapt and respond. Thank you again. We move along and we now invite Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, Timothy N.J. Antoine, to deliver remarks as well. Governor.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Master of Ceremonies. Good to see you. Especially, I want to stand on the protocol already established, but recognize our council members. I believe the council member for Anguilla, Honorable Cora Richardson Hodge, is on. Premier Welcome, Premier Brantley, and Nevis, Attorney General Claudette Joseph Grenada. I see F.S. Poxon, St. Kitts and Nevis. There may be board members and even council members who are online, and therefore I want to also recognize them. All of you in the room, but particularly my fellow citizens, residents of the Currency Union, wherever you are in the Currency Union or around the world. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Well, if there's one thing we should figure out by now, this big push is going to need energy. Nothing moves without energy. So we got to bring our energy to this enterprise. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, you're warming up. I begin with a simple but defining question. Will the next decade define our transformation or consign us to stagnation? That is what is at stake. You see in the news. I'm not going to relitigate that this evening. Tonight, we gather to launch the ECCB Strategic Plan 2026 to 31, styled The Big Push, Collective Action for Shared Prosperity in the ECCU. I thank Team ECCB and all those who contributed to the development of this plan. And our Deputy Governor has already done it, but I do want to take a moment to especially recognize Sabrina Ogilvie. Sabrina, please stand. Jehu Sedra, all the members of CGU, keep standing, and led by Director Teresa Smith. Please stand. We want to recognize the CGU team. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You may be seated. And all those who contributed. I also want to recognize Helen Gradstein, who is at the World Bank again, but at the time was helping us through her stint at the UN Capital Development Fund, UNDCDP, CDF. And one of the things you will see in the strategic plan is our financial inclusion and literacy strategy. That financial inclusion strategy came out of the financial inclusion and literacy survey that we did 3 years ago. And it was out of that survey we realized we needed to do a strategy. Helen played a critical role in that. We meet up again. We band this together again. Thank you very much. Give Helen a round of applause. Even as we speak about the future, we must honor our past. The ECCB was born out of crisis and, yes, courage. That decision created confidence where there was uncertainty and stability where there was fragility. And it has endured. 5 decades on, our currency peg holds firm. And I confirm to you this evening that our EC dollar remains strong. The backing currently approaches 99%. You should give us a round of applause for that. When you start taking these things for granted, that's when we could have a challenge. Never take our successes for granted. They must be recognized, they must be celebrated, and they must be protected. And that's why we have to say them over and over again. But friends, stability by itself does not create prosperity. Growth does. Because without growth, stability becomes stagnation, and stagnation inevitably leads to decline. Our new strategic plan is built on 6 pillars, which you see on screen. First, monetary stability, which simply put is to keep our EC dollar strong. Everybody get that? Job number 1, keep our EC dollar strong. Job number 2, keep your deposits safe. That's financial stability. Under this plan, we will introduce deposit insurance to strengthen depositor protection. Under this plan, I know it's 6 in the evening, but guys, please, bring it. You have to bring your energy here. Under this plan, we are going to establish an Office of Financial Conduct to hold banks accountable and ensure fair treatment of customers. Under this plan, we will exercise oversight of bank fees and charges. I see you need no encouragement for that one. The first 2 pillars, monetary stability and financial stability, are our core responsibilities. That's why I said job 1 and job number 2. Because without stability, there's no confidence, there's no investment, there is no sustained growth. So we must always keep our focus on that. But there are other things that the ECCB agreement requires us to do, and that is to support growth and development. So our third pillar is payment modernization and financial inclusion. Under that pillar, we are going to scale up our partial credit guarantee program. At the moment, we have done over 300 loans at a value of $30 million, and we're just getting started. We are going to scale that up to bring support for farmers, fishers, creatives, and small businesses all across our currency union. The big push needs credit, so we have to unlock credit. We will also broaden access to the credit bureau, including credit unions, to again unlock more credit for our people and for our businesses. In addition, we will introduce a fast payment system to make transactions faster and cheaper across the currency union. And we will participate in the pilot for the CARICOM Payment and Settlement System, CAPS, which is a real-time, low-cost, cross-border payments in local currencies. So, So for the 4 pilot countries or central banks, which are Barbados, Bahamas, Trinidad and Tobago, and Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, we'll be able to pay in our local currency, pay in theirs, and we'll settle behind the scenes in US dollars. The net settlement will be in US dollars between the central banks. That's coming. That project is about to begin. And then under the pillar of inclusive economic growth and partnership, this is where the big push resides. And I'll return to that shortly, because after all, the name of the plan is the big push. So I have to say a little bit more on that. And then the other 2 pillars you see on screen, 5, a digital and data-driven culture and organizational effectiveness. At its core, our plan does 3 things. It protects stability, enables transformation, and helps drive growth. The big push. As the Deputy Governor intimated, 3 years ago I asked the question, what will it take to double the size of our economies over the next decade? That question was a vision. Tonight, that vision becomes action. Folks, the big push is not a slogan. It is a strategy for transformation, a commitment to regional coordination and execution, and a call to collective action. And let me be clear, the big push is not growth for growth's sake. It is about diversifying these economies, resilience, competitiveness, and always shared prosperity. Above all, it is about people. Are you hearing me? It is about people. The big push is more than numbers. It is about lives and livelihoods. Indeed, its central promise is shared prosperity for the people of the ECCU. It is about whether a young graduate finds opportunity at home or feels compelled to pursue opportunity abroad. A farmer can produce competitively and help reduce our food import bill. Small businesses can grow and create jobs. And whether growth is something we simply measure or something our people actually feel. The big push demands, quite frankly, a reimagining of our development model. And in doing so, we must confront some hard and inescapable truths. Folks, our development challenge is structural, not cyclical. Over 80% of what we eat is imported, leading to high food import bills and high incidence of disease and death. Almost 90% of the energy we consume comes from fossil fuels, driving higher electricity costs and reducing competitiveness. Connectivity within our region is costly and inefficient. And yes, all of us know it's cheaper to go to New York or Miami than it is to go to Barbados or Trinidad. Credit to the private sector remains too low. Productivity is stagnant or declining. Our populations in most countries in the currency union is actually falling. Yes, you better believe it. Falling. How do you grow and double the size of an economy with a falling population? We have to arrest this issue, folks. We have to wrestle with these issues, and we have to solve them. Climate risk is not distant. It is immediate and macro-critical. And we must shift our focus in tourism from simply chasing volumes, arrivals, to value, as measured by visitor expenditure in our currency union. Taken together, these hard truths are not mere inconveniences. They are structural constraints on our growth, our resilience, and our sovereignty. And let me say this plainly as I could. Inaction is costly. Inaction is not neutral. It compounds and accelerates decline. And that is why inaction is not a serious option. We have to do something about these issues. And here at the central bank, we say it all the time. We have a choice every day. We can choose to either curse darkness or light a candle. This strategic plan lights candles on many of these issues, but we cannot do it alone. The big push is not a panacea, and it is not the responsibility of the ECCB alone. I want to stress that. This is a big and ambitious plan, but we, with all of our resources and all of our energy, cannot do it by ourselves. After all, the ECCB itself does not produce growth. We create the conditions that make growth possible. We keep the EC dollar strong. We safeguard the financial system. We build confidence. But growth must be generated by businesses, our people, and our governments. Our governments in particular must provide the enabling environment and deliver critical infrastructure. This is why we have sought and secured consensus from the Monetary Council for coordinated regional and national action, because this mission for shared prosperity in the currency union belongs to all of us. Under the big push, the Monetary Council has determined 4 priorities: food security, energy security, connectivity and logistics, and by that I am speaking about regional travel and maritime travel. And that's where you hear the idea of a regional airline, OECS Air, being discussed, for example. And the 4th is financial deepening and inclusion. I want to assure you that the ECCB is actively supporting all 4. Food security grants, we did $25 million last year, and a food import bill tracker. A renewable energy infrastructure investment facility in partnership with the World Bank to the tune of $120 million and counting. Support for regional transport and logistics, I just mentioned regional airline and regional shipping, and modernizing payments and expanding access to finance and investment. And I gave you a couple examples a short while ago. So let me conclude. They gave me 10 minutes. Could you believe? 10 minutes. So I have to conclude. Our new strategic plan is our roadmap for the next 5 years. Team ECCB is ready. We bring to this enterprise a relentless focus on delivering amplified development impact. But let me be clear. Plans, no matter how well crafted and conceived and crafted, plans do not change outcomes. Execution does. Partnerships do. Collective action does. So this is our moment. We must act together with purpose. We must act together, and we must act together now. There's a nowness, there's an urgency that I feel deep in my bones, and I hope you feel it too. When you look at the news, the saying is going around, nobody's coming to save us. Well, absolutely right. What are we going to do? Here's our plan. So who's in? Who is in? Who is in? Sign me up. I want to see who's in, because we're going to have to do this, and we're going to need all hands on deck. So thank you for signing up. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming on board. Thank you. And so I conclude with my oft-repeated anthem. As a region, we cannot change our history, nor can we change our geography. But together we can and must elevate our development trajectory through innovation and collective action. Let's go after it. Our people need it. We want it. It's our time. God bless you. Thank you.
I must say I feel so inspired and ready to start that big push. Governor, thank you for those inspiring remarks. And Governor, remind us that in order for us to achieve shared prosperity in the region, action and energy is required because inaction is costly. So will the next decade, as he asks, bring transformation or confine us to stagnation? Let us ponder these words as we work together to bring shared prosperity to our region. Thank you again, Governor. If you are joining us for the first time online or via radio or TV stations across the ECCU, we welcome you to the launch of the ECCB's 2026-2031 strategic plan styled The Big Push, Collective Action for Shared Prosperity in the ECCU. At this point, I'll invite the Director of the Corporate Governance Unit and our Corporate Secretary, Mrs. Teresa Smith, to provide us with an overview of the strategic plan. Welcome her.
Permit me to adopt the protocol that has already been established. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. So the ECCB strategic plan provides a roadmap and accountability framework for the work of the bank. The framework is organized around strategic themes, objectives, and initiatives. For the strategic themes, these are the broad, high-level areas of focus that reflect the bank's priorities and long-term aspirations. They answer the question, then, what are the major pillars of our strategy? The strategic objectives, therefore, are specific, measurable, and actionable goals which fall under each theme. And they answer the question, what does the organization aim to achieve? The initiatives are concrete actions, projects, or programs designed to deliver on the strategic objectives. And they answer the question, how will we achieve this objective? Taken together, we therefore have our 2026-2031 strategic plan. And we have on screen already, and as mentioned by the governor and the deputy governor, we have 6 themes that guide the strategic plan. Governor has already gone through them, and as I said, they are on screen, but I'll mention them again. Theme 1, maintaining monetary stability. Theme 2, preserving financial stability. Theme 3, advanced payment modernization and financial inclusion. Theme 4, promote inclusive economic growth and partnerships. Theme 5, enable a digital and data-driven culture. Theme 6, enhance organizational effectiveness. To take each theme just a little to give some more perspective on each of them. So, maintain monetary stability, that's the theme. And for this particular one, we aim to be or to have a robust and proactive regulatory and policy framework that safeguards the strength and stability of the EC dollar. Under this specific theme, we have highlighted one of our key objectives, which is to ensure adequate foreign exchange reserves and maintain currency stability. What we have also shown here are some of the key initiatives under this specific objective. And we have highlighted 4 of them: to develop and operationalize macroprudential policy tools for the ECCU, provide strategic policy guidance for our Monetary Council and the Board of Directors, utilize forecasting tools to determine optimal stock of currency to meet the demands, and to publish timely and transparent monetary policy statements and reports. For our second theme, which is to preserve financial stability, we have a regulatory, or we aim to have a regulatory architecture that provides comprehensive and effective oversight of the financial system, mitigates systemic risks, strengthens the resilience of financial institutions, markets, and infrastructure, and drives inclusive economic growth and transformational development in our member countries. Here we have identified, we've identified two key objectives, namely to maintain a robust and proactive regulatory and supervisory framework, and we've identified a few initiatives under that specific objective. And the second objective is to enhance financial risk surveillance and crisis preparedness. For each of these initiatives, well, the Governor would have elaborated on a few of them. We have highlighted the operationalization of the Office of the Financial Conduct and Inclusion. And we have also highlighted operationalizing the EC Financial Standards Setting Board. These are just two of the initiatives under this specific theme. The next theme, theme 3, is titled Advanced Payment Modernization and Financial Inclusion. For this specific one, a modern, secure, and efficient financial ecosystem that broadens access to affordable and innovative financial services and supports an economically sound and inclusive financial structure is what we are aiming for. For this specific objective or theme, we have two objectives that have been highlighted: to broaden financial access for all segments, and here we highlight the implementation of a regional financial inclusion strategy, the launch of a fast payment system, and implementing the CARICOM Payment and Settlement System, CAPS, pilot. To note, for the regional financial inclusion strategy, within our strategic plan, we have included an appendix that provides details on the financial literacy and inclusion strategy, and you are welcome to get more information from that appendix. The second objective under this particular theme is to enhance access to regional capital markets. And here we draw attention to developing a retail bond program for the ECCB. The fourth theme is the one that the Governor would have given much attention to, as it highlights the emphasis, the focus of our strategic plan. The fourth theme is entitled Promote Inclusive Economic Growth and Partnerships. For this specific one, we aim to be a principled, collaborative, and proactive institution that champions environmentally sustainable, socially responsible, and ethically governed development that influences policy, shapes best practices, and fosters balanced and sustained economic growth within our member countries. We have highlighted two of our objectives here: to expand growth and resilience dialogue to include the theaters of the Big Push, and to promote effective stakeholder consultation and engagement in policy making. And for the second one, this is where our Big Push initiative is highlighted. Governor would have made reference to the theaters of transformation. There are 7 of them: food and nutrition security, human capital development, energy resilience, tourism, trade, logistics and connectivity, digital transformation, financial inclusion, and wealth creation. Again, in our strategic plan, we have dedicated a full chapter or an appendix to providing details on the Big Push initiative. Our fifth theme is to enable a digital and data-driven culture. For this specific one, we aim to be a digitally empowered central bank that leverages emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence, to enhance agility, data-driven decision-making, and operational excellence, while supporting the development of a vibrant, secure, and inclusive digital economy in the ECCU. We have therefore highlighted the objective, which is to transform the generation, production, and analysis of data in the ECCU, and we have highlighted 3 initiatives: to develop an enterprise data and AI strategy, to establish a modern data warehouse, and to train staff in data science, digital policy, and emerging tech trends. Again, in the strategic plan, we have dedicated an appendix or a chapter to giving a little more detail to the data and AI strategy, and we welcome your feedback as well. Theme 6, which is the final theme, takes us to enhancing organizational effectiveness. For this one, we aim to be an agile thinking central bank that prioritizes talent, well-being, innovation, and responsiveness, empowering staff with the leadership, tools, and environment needed to thrive and deliver exceptional service in a rapidly evolving landscape. And so for this particular one, we highlight 4 objectives. First one being to implement the bank's culture and change management initiative, to attract, develop, and retain skilled professionals, to enhance organizational agility and responsiveness to stakeholder needs, and to strengthen institutional systems. These are but a summary of the themes, objectives, and initiatives that are captured in our strategic plan. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2026-2031 ECCB strategic plan provides a framework of practical, trackable actions that can be monitored, evaluated, and adjusted over time. The big push, collective action for shared prosperity in the ECCU. We invite you to familiarize yourself with the document, the strategic plan, and we welcome your feedback over the period of time. Thank you.
Director Smith, thank you so much for comprehensively walking us through the main tenets of our strategic plan. As she outlined, there are 6 main thematic areas that the ECCB, in collaboration with you as our partners, will work to bring transformation and prosperity to our region. At this point, we invite our project officer within the Corporate Governance Unit, J.U. Cedra, to walk us through the dedicated resource, the website for the strategic plan. As Governor and the rest of us have iterated, this is about all of us together. So we want to create and provide you with a platform where you can access information on the strategic plan 24/7. And J.U. will now provide us with a live demo of that website. Let's welcome him.
Good evening, everyone. Chair, allow me to adopt the protocol that has already been established. I will now take you through a brief walkthrough of the strategic plan website. So here we have the strategic plan 2026-2031 website. The intention here is to move beyond a traditional document and create something that is interactive, accessible, and easy to navigate. Right from the home page, users get a clear sense of the plan, its direction, priorities, and overall vision. A key part of the plan is 6 strategic themes, which represent the core focus of the plan. These themes essentially answer the question, what will the bank focus its effort on over the next 5 years? Users can access these themes through 2 main areas on the homepage, demonstrated here, right on the homepage, and at the top in the navigational bar, as you see here. Each theme is clickable and will take you to a dedicated page for that particular theme. The web page is layered in a way that it's easy to follow. The strategic theme and what it's about, the strategic objectives and what they're about, and the initiatives. The initiatives are placed directly under the initiative heading, with each initiative could be expanded to get more details. In the event that one initiative has multiple sub-initiatives, it is placed within that drop-down as well. On the all sub-initiatives, a drop-down is also there to gain more information. It is structured in a way that it is not linear. You do not have to scroll through the entire document to get to what you want. Every individual, and based on their interests, can navigate back and forth through different sections or themes to go directly to what they're looking for. On the right-hand side, there's a navigational bar that could take you through the theme, skipping certain sections that you may not be interested in at that particular time. At the top of the navigational bar, you will see there's a framework. This is the framework that the bank used to develop this plan. Everything is there for transparency. Across, as we saw that the director mentioned the appendices, they're all here as well. The big push which the governor mentioned, financial literacy and inclusion, and AI and data strategy are all accessible for all to see. The website is structured in a way that navigation is simple and easy for all to use. I now invite you to explore this at stratplan.eccb-centralbank.org. Thank you.
Jehu, thank you so very much for walking us through this website. As we said, it's a dedicated resource that anyone, any member of the public, can access at any time, so you can get the rundown and the full details as to the ECCB strategic plan. Again, visit it at stratplan.eccb-centralbank.org, or you can find it directly via the ECCB's main website. Thank you again, Jehu. At this point in our evening's proceedings, we'll move to a question and answer segment where we invite members of the media as well as the listening audience to pose questions to our head table, the governor and the deputy governor of the ECCB. You can do that if you're in Zoom to use the chat function where our officers are monitoring and will be able to forward the questions to us. And if you're on social media, please feel free to use the live chat boxes to forward that. We are on Facebook and YouTube at ECCB Connects. We already have a question coming in, and this is from Niamke Brooks, Radio Anguilla. The question: the war in Iran is very concerning. We've seen the surge in oil prices, prompting Anguilla and other Caribbean governments to introduce targeted relief measures to help manage the rising cost of living, including temporary reductions on duties and taxes on essential goods and increase support for vulnerable households through social protection programs. What impact does this have on the big push and the ECCB's projections for its member countries? He goes on to say, we know the EC dollar remains pegged to the US at 2.7. Does the ECCB foresee any changes, weakening in this EC dollar peg? And there's a follow-up question that I will give once we have this response. So his question, what impact do these global happenings, including the surge in oil prices, have on the big push and the ECCB's projections for its member countries? Governor?
Thank you very much, and thanks for everyone. Greetings again. I'm getting feedback from some of you via my phone, so many people are watching around the currency union, which is great. Good evening to you again. Colleague in Anguilla, the big push, we have to push harder, and we have to push now. Every time we have an oil shock, we react and say we really have to do something about it. And then prices go down and we move on with our lives. How many times are we going to see this same bad movie over and over again? We have to change this picture. In 2008, when oil prices rose to $147, this is US, we have to do something. And of course, every time oil prices move, so does food and fertilizer and shipping. There are a range of things, and airfares. It's not just oil prices. So we have to become more energy secure, which is why we are fully behind this whole push for renewable energy. At our campus, we generate most of our electricity from solar PV with battery storage. We are not asking you to do what we ourselves have not already done. As a result of that, we're saving almost $2 million a year in electricity costs. My point is, we must now drive with pace and scope to get on with our renewables. It's not easy, but it has to be done. So I applaud Dominica with its 10 megawatts, which is coming on stream very shortly. Lodat, that's a big move. Congrats, Dominica. I applaud Nevis and Kitts and Nevis because we just heard that the contract has been awarded for the drilling, for the production and reinjection wells. The resource is already proven. I think that's at least 30 megawatts with a potential possibly for 100. We have to push more on those things. That is going to be important because energy cost is a tax on everyone across the economy. So my brother, big push, it means we have to push harder and we have to push faster. What is going to happen with the US dollar? We monitor that, but we have no plans to depeg. No plans to depeg because it has worked well for us. And yes, we understand what's going on at the moment. We are monitoring that. And I will simply say, because I want to get as many questions in as possible, that later this year we are going to have a special event to celebrate the 50th anniversary of our PEG. Our Deputy Governor is chairing the committee that's organizing these events. And I'm sure we'll have a very robust discussion about the efficacy of the PEG, why we should be pegged, what we see for the future, all of that. So I'm looking forward to that conversation, and that is coming soon. July is the actual anniversary, so stay tuned, watch that space, as we say.
Thank you, Governor, for that response. We continue. We have out of Montserrat, Radio Montserrat, Victor Chalmers. How effective was the immediate previous strategic plan? That one went from 2022 to 2026. And was its effectiveness measured and reported on? And have previous strategic plans influenced this one?
Right. So they have all influenced each other. This is our third strategic plan. And yes, we hold ourselves accountable. So whether it is the Partial Credit Guarantee Program, which we launched in 2020, I mentioned in my statement, over 300 loans, $30 million, that was in our strategic plan. The launch of the Credit Bureau, that was in our strategic plan. The question of strengthening our financial oversight with respect to how we supervise banks, that too was in our strategic plan, and we have implemented those. The question of strengthening our payment system. What we have now is a new law that's going through our parliaments. Many of our countries have already passed it. The Payment System and Services Bill. That is also. We promised to bring the Office of Financial Conduct. Well, we had to get the law passed. Amendments to the Banking Act. That is now passed in 5 of our 8 countries, and we expect the other 3 to pass it shortly. So we have a high rate of implementation. We did not get everything done, but we got a lot done. And anything that we didn't finish, obviously we'll complete in this cycle. So these plans matter. They drive how we organize the bank, how we do our work, where our budgets are allocated, and how we focus on managing for results. That's a key part of governance of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank.
All right. Thank you, Governor. The questions are coming in. And again, if you're joining us online, you're free to use the chat boxes in Zoom as well to forward your questions. We have one from Zoom. What role can financial institutions across the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union play in increasing food production and food security in the currency union?
Well, here's the thing. Our system is awash with liquidity. And for years, we've talked about the banks have excess liquidity. What does that mean? It means deposits are growing faster than loans. As we speak in our banking system, we have over $28 billion in deposits, and we have only about $16 billion in loans. So we have excess liquidity. Again, are we going to curse the darkness and lament, or are we going to light a candle? That's why we brought the Partial Credit Guarantee Program. It is intended to leverage that excess liquidity and make it available to small businesses which otherwise would not have access by providing those guarantees. And we are going to bring the collateral registry, the secured collateral registry, which is again to help small businesses. So whether you have inventory, accounts receivable, you can use that as collateral to access credit. That is important. So what can the banks do? The banks can make greater use of the Partial Credit Guarantee Program. But we have not just asked the banks to get involved. It is also available to our credit unions, to our development banks, and we want to see more take-up in that program. Because again, we already have the liquidity. The key issue now is how you de-risk it, and the Partial Credit Guarantee Program. For those who don't know what that means, let me be very quick. If you go for $100,000 and you qualify under the program, the program will offer a guarantee of about 75 or 80%. So it means for the bank, the exposure is not $100,000. It is $25,000 or $20,000. That makes it far more attractive for the bank to lend because they have a lot less to lose in terms of risk or funds at risk. That is our way, one simple way, an important way of making credit more accessible and using what we have. What is in our hand? What is in our hand? What is in our hand is excess liquidity in the banking system. And yes, I'm invoking scripture for those who are people of faith. That's in our hand. So how are we going to leverage it? So that's an example of how the financial institutions can be involved. The financial institutions can be involved by getting more involved with the credit bureau. The credit bureau is available to help people access credit. And I always remind you, the credit bureau, wherever it has been established in the world, everywhere it has been established, credit has increased. We know that for a certain fact. So if we want a big push, we want to be serious, we have to access credit in this region. And by the way, we have to make sure we price it right. Because we argue the absence of a credit bureau has long meant that we are probably paying more than we should. What the credit bureau does, it allows financial institutions, banks, credit unions, development banks, and others involved to assess and price risk. And that is a good thing. That is going to help us going forward as a region. 2 examples. I want to take some more questions.
Thank you, Governor.
And DG, feel free to jump in, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
It's a rapid round, so we have to move it along, but DG, feel free to weigh in. Feel free.
Yes, and the questions continue to come in. This next one comes out of St. Lucia, Vernon Jean of the GIS. Should regional governments provide incentives to encourage population growth, taking into account the economic strain on many adults to make ends meet? I think that's a very interesting question.
It's a very interesting question. And interestingly, every time a prime minister has talked about increasing population, there are very interesting reactions. I will not try to go into those now, but suffice it to say there's a real issue. Listen, when you read that big push chapter, Annex 1 of the strategic plan, one of the things that you're going to find is that in the currency union of 8 countries, 6 of our countries, the population is either stagnant or declining. There are only 2 countries in the currency union where the population is actually increasing. So help me understand how we are going to expand these economies and double them over the next 10 years with a population decline. Who is going to buy the goods that the businesses create? How are you going to generate consumption? How are you going to generate business opportunity? Look at the United States, 350 million and counting. And a big part of that is immigration and the expansion of consumption. More and more people buying. So you have a lot of small businesses with people buying, so they have things to sell, they have people to buy. We have to have a serious conversation in this region, followed by action, about growing these populations. Now, one way is to get our people to come back home, because many of our people are in the diaspora. But to do that, we're going to have to do a few things. We are going to have to improve our healthcare system. It's a big one. And we are going to have to make sure digital connectivity really works so that they can work from here, even if they have jobs outside. But we also are going to have to import some people. And I know that is where it gets very sensitive, because we worry about, but I'm always curious. We can go to New York and England and Canada and live and work and develop. No problem. But once we talk about people coming here, we get concerned about they will come and take what we have. The truth about it is Antigua and Barbuda, which is one of the two countries that's growing, has in fact taken on people from all around the region. Dominica, Jamaica, St. Kitts, Grenada, wherever. I mean, just to give some examples. Anguilla as well. So part of how these economies grow is because people have come in. So we have to take the temperature down, have an honest conversation. Yes, it has to be managed. Yes, we don't want criminals. We actually want people with skills, but we have to bring skilled people to these countries if we want to grow faster and we want to create demand for businesses to actually grow and to succeed.
Thank you, Governor. The next question we have from YouTube, and it goes, what does Dcash have to play, the role of Dcash in the big push?
Well, as our Deputy Governor said, there are lessons from Dcash. We have chronicled the lessons, what to do and what not to do. We learn both. And we are going to utilize those with our fast payment system and even CAPS. The central bank community globally is looking at this whole question of digital currencies. There's been a shift in policy in the US, for example, and we are monitoring those things very closely. But all of the lessons of Dcash, and there are rich lessons there, those are going to be brought to bear on what we do next.
All right. Members of the audience, in person, you are welcome as well to pose your questions if you have. We have another question from Facebook. Will the ECCB provide financial or technical assistance to key organizations such as productivity councils to advance the strategic objectives of the big push?
We are always ready and willing to provide support within our competence. Right now, we do a lot of free consultancies, by the way. Free consultancies. Credit unions ask us, banks ask us sometimes, other organizations ask us, and we, colleagues, go and provide support as best as we can. In some cases, we've been asked to sit on committees and serve. Pat, our colleague here, is sitting on the, I think, minimum wage one in St. Kitts. Another colleague is sitting on something in Grenada. Another one is sitting on something in St. Lucia. These are things we do as part of helping our currency union. So if it's within our competence, there's no direct conflict. The general disposition of the bank is to help. So we will be open within our competence. Our new Director of Research, Data Statistics and Data Analytics, Dr. Delano D'Souza, may have some thoughts on that, and I'm sure we'll look at any request and see if we can help.
So they need only ask?
They need only ask.
Very good, very good.
Just ask.
We have another question, and we'll wrap this segment shortly. How will the strategic plan ensure regional initiatives are implemented inclusively with broad access beyond a limited group of stakeholders? So how do we plan to roll out these measures in an inclusive way?
Well, first of all, that's why we're doing it tonight and not 10 o'clock in the morning. In the old days, you did a strategic plan at 10 in the morning, everybody working, nobody paying attention. We've taken the time to do that this hour in the day to make sure people are at home from work, can join, and can actually participate, meaning listen, ask questions, and follow. That's the first practical step of inclusion. Next, we are going to hit the road. So you're going to see us in the member countries sharing on this. So when we do country outreach, a big focus is going to be on the big push. What we're doing, where we are, what are the specific initiatives, and that sort of thing. But I'm also saying that we need help. This is a big plan, and we're going to need everybody involved because some of these are regional actions, some of it are national actions. And we are going to have to get partnerships to get this done. And so we're very open to ideas from any one of you here in the currency union and even abroad who would like to help and who you think you can help. So let us know what your thoughts are on that.
All right, thank you, Governor. And we have two more questions following which we probably wrap. How will the new strategic plan encourage investments by residents in the ECCU?
Well, I think it always starts with confidence. You see this EC dollar, and that's why I paused when I told you what the backing is and the fact that we backed this thing for 50 years. That's where it starts. Confidence that this dollar actually works. There's no foreign exchange controls. The dollar is stable and has been stable for a long time. That's the first step. If you look around the world right now, you see with what's going on in the Middle East, and you can see what has begun to do with certain currencies. I'm not going to get into specifics here. And you understand the value of the stability of the EC dollar. So that's the first thing. Don't take it for granted. It's important. We focus on it every day, but it's the basic, it's the fundamental or foundation on which we have this economy and society. If you think about it, your money in the bank today is $100, tomorrow is $100. Maybe a little inflation or whatever, but the value is, it's not like some countries where you go, the next day it's $50 and the third day is $0. That's a real thing. That happens. We take these things for granted. So the first thing first is the stability. I think the second thing is the creating a more enabling environment. So certain things governments are doing, certain things the central bank is doing as part of the public sector to make it easier. For example, the work we've done recently on opening a bank account, making it easier for people to open a bank account. The first step, no minimum, no, you get deposits, no fees, you get interest on your deposit. All of those things are intended to encourage people to get into the system. The partial credit guarantee, a way for you to be able to access credit. The credit bureau, a way for you to access credit. And then, of course, our governments have a number of other programs. So I'm just speaking about what the central bank is doing. But our governments have a number of programs and incentives for businesses and others. So I would say at this time, we want to have people bring skills, ideas, capital where you can, and bring it, to join up our efforts. But even as we speak, our banks are saying, we have money to lend, but we're not finding the right projects. So perhaps you may find banks are open and willing if you can come with a bankable project, a viable project that they would consider. We also recognize that we have to introduce additional infrastructure, tools. So we want to obviously be able to eventually introduce venture capital funds. That's lacking in our region. We want to broaden the capital markets. And you will hear from the Home Mortgage Bank in its 30th anniversary celebration some new products intended to make it possible for people to invest in the financial markets and to invest generally speaking. So I think there are some things we can do there. And again, we don't have all the ideas. We don't have all the ideas. So if you have some, please come forward and share those. And I want to make a plug for the Growth and Resilience Dialogue, which will happen right here next month, April 22nd to 24th, where we're going to focus on some of these issues. We'll have a lot of more time to focus on the big push as well. And the idea is really to bring us together, to work together to make this happen. DG, I don't know if you want to weigh in.
Well,
please,
I would just add two extra things to what you said, is the whole thrust of financial literacy and education. That is very important. And over the years, the bank, together with the LFIs, have been working with this film festival, but we recognize we still have a lot more work to do. You also have the ECCB, the stock exchange, and they are also doing new initiatives, I think, to get every home mortgage. You need to look out for that. And the work being done by the ECSRC, which is the Eastern Caribbean Security Regulation Commission, because the same way that we do the work in FSSD to ensure the stability of the LFIs and the supervision, the ECSRC role is very critical in terms of protecting the market, protecting investors. And as we have been speaking and encouraging persons, we have with the tagline, from savers to investors, persons also need to be assured that there is the regulation of that capital market. And even in the call of the governor in 2023, you would have said we wanted to, so while we wanted to double the economies and also double people's wealth, if we take it onto a personal level, how do we double individual wealth in the 10 years? But we also talked about how do we enhance and increase the participation in the stock market, moving it from 4% to about 20% in the next 20 years. So all of those things come together to ensure that persons can participate fully in the systems that we have.
Agreed.
Thank you, Governor and the Deputy Governor. We have two final questions. We'll wrap. The first, will the ECCB support deportees from third world countries as a strategy to grow the ECC population?
So the ECCB has no jurisdiction on immigration, all right? We don't decide immigration policy. That's for our governments to decide. I think some of our governments recognize if it's carefully managed, there may be opportunities to bring some skills. And therefore, that's what I assume they will look. So I gather the numbers are not going to be large numbers, but some days it's hard to find a good plumber. Just saying. So my point is that a few skilled people could make a big difference in a small country. And my hope would be that that program would be managed in such a way that we can bring some skills. Now, I also understand in some cases that these people are coming to pass, they are passing through. They're not coming to stay. I learned that recently when I was in the US. We had some discussions with the Department of Homeland Security on the biometrics program. And what I discovered is that a lot of these people may not stay. They may go back to their countries of origin. But I'm saying if they choose to stay, we want skills. So that would be the position of the central bank. And of course, it has to be managed with care. But again, we have no direct influence on that. Immigration policy is a matter for the sovereign, that's our countries, and I'm sure they're looking at it very carefully. And I know they're trying to look at it collectively so that they can take a joint approach to this important and sensitive matter.
Thanks for your response, Governor. Our final question comes from one of our partners out of a financial institution in Anguilla. They send hearty congratulations to the ECCB and the entire team on this phenomenal launch, and they love the website. To Governor, has the ECCB altered its risk appetite in any way? With the operational limit significantly above 60%, is the bank willing to take on more risk?
Well, if the big push is not a big risk, I don't know what is. We are there. We are not shying away from ambition. We're not afraid of hard work. We're doing the work, and we are prepared to do more with partners. So I think the answer is that we very much have taken on some risk. I mean, look at what we've done with our solar thing. Look at what we've done with Dcash. Look at what we've done with our polymer. Look at what, I mean, these are things that we did, innovations, just to give some examples off top of mind. We launched a partial credit guarantee program in the middle of the pandemic. 5 years on, it's beginning to really kick up, gain traction. So I think there's appetite for us to make a difference, and that does mean taking some risk and innovating. But I want to also assure you that fundamentally, we have to keep this EC dollar strong. And we're not making joke with that. That's our number one job. So we are always going to be very attentive and prudent where that is concerned. But there are possibilities for us to, as a region, innovate, and that is certainly something that we want to do. Given a simple example, every summer now we do STEM camps for young people, or school age, high school, for 1 month in partnership with Taiwan. And what we're doing is bringing skills to these young people, exposing them to coding, exposing them to developing apps and so on, and a range of issues to really bring them along and help create that innovation. And then we've created a couple innovation funds where we actually support them and so on. And we have something coming up now that Home Mortgage Bank will speak about very soon, again, to create an app. And will there be a financial incentive there? And we want to get our young people incentivized and involved. So I think we're taking more risk than a typical central bank, but we're taking the right risks, the ones that will help make a difference on development, while ensuring that we are sound on risk management for the core things that we must protect. Because above all, first and foremost, is to keep our EC dollar strong.
Thank you, Governor and the Deputy Governor, for those answers to those thought-provoking questions. We're so glad to have members of the audience participating and asking meaningful questions to create dialogue around our strategic plan. We are almost at the end of this evening's proceedings. At this point, we'll invite Mrs. Sabrina Rodney Ogilvie to the podium as she delivers the vote of thanks and brings tonight's launch to a close.
Time check.
Respected members of the ECCB Monetary Council, Board of Directors, Executive and Leadership Team, distinguished guests, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. As we bring this memorable regional launch of the 2026-2031 ECCB strategic plan to a close, my heart is filled with sincere gratitude. This evening marks not just the unveiling of a document, but the beginning of a shared journey toward transformation and progress across the ECCU. Allow me to extend our deepest appreciation to all who contributed to making this strategic plan and tonight's launch a resounding success. We express special thanks to the ECCB Board of Directors for their steadfast guidance, direction, and ultimate approval of the strategic plan. To the ECCB executive, management team, and staff, we are grateful for your invaluable insights and contributions throughout the process. For tonight's event, we express sincere appreciation to our Governor, Mr. Timothy N.J. Antoine, for his inspiring remarks and for issuing the call to action through the Big Push, which helped to shape the vision for this plan. To our Deputy Governor, Dr. Valda Henry, thank you for your encouraging and thoughtful opening remarks and all your encouragements along the way. We thank Mrs. Carol Pemberton for invoking the Lord's presence and setting a reflective tone to our proceedings. To the members of the ECC media and those joining us online, thank you for your presence with us. Your role in bringing clear and accurate information to the people of the ECCU is truly important. We remain committed to collaborating with you in deepening the understanding of the public on key issues that impact them. We also extend heartfelt thanks to our organizing committee for your tireless efforts behind the scenes. Your attention to detail and commitment to excellence were evident in every aspect of tonight's event, which was flawlessly executed. Our gratitude also goes to the technical team for seamlessly managing the audiovisual production and live stream across the currency union. To the Director of the Corporate Governance Unit and the Corporate Secretary of the ECCB, Mrs. Teresa Smith, thank you for your guidance and leadership throughout this process and for so clearly presenting the overview of the strategic plan. To my team, CGU, the Corporate Governance Unit, thank you for your dedication in developing the plan and preparing the accompanying website in time for today's launch. Mr. Jehu Sedra, our project officer, thank you for your creativity and commitment in developing the graphical designs and the website and for bringing its features to life for us this evening. Mrs. Karina Phillips-Somersal, chairperson and moderator for this evening's proceedings, for your poise, professionalism, and excellent stewardship of tonight's program. We extend sincere thanks. And to you, all our invited guests, stakeholders, partners, management, and staff who joined us, both here in the auditorium and virtually across the ECCU, your presence and continued engagement are vital as we embark on the next 5 years of implementation. We look forward to working together as we bring this strategic plan to life and achieve our shared vision for the region. Thank you and have a pleasant evening, everyone.